What is going on, everybody? This is Tom coming at you guys with another Destiny 2 video, and today I have a good video for you guys. I have a solo guide for the Root of Nightmare's first encounter, Cataclysm, for a hunter. So, for this, what I did was I spent a lot of time practicing the encounter, getting a feel for what it actually felt like to be in here alone, and getting an understanding for what I can and can't do with the mechanic and where I can and cannot stand in the room. As you can see in this background gameplay, sometimes I get kind of far, sometimes I just am going to spawn and wipe. But the most important thing if you are going to try and tackle a task like soloing a raid encounter is making sure that, number one, you don't get mad at not being able to do it. I found myself getting upset with myself a lot once I figured out that I could actually properly do this. I was getting frustrated with my inability to properly execute on being able to do this mechanic. So my number one piece of advice is just try and keep the right mindset. Number two is you're going to have to be persistent. Even if you get a little frustrated, it's okay. Just make sure that you are keeping going, because every little bit of experience doing this type of activity is going to help you get better and get closer to actually completing it. Even if it's something like what you just saw, where you spawn and shoot 2 bullets, miss one of them, and then just walk off the map. But with all of that said, let's get right into the loadout I used and how I went about soloing this encounter. So, first things first, for weapons, I used Vergless Curve for the first set of nodes that are available to be popped during this encounter. And the reason I used Vergless is because, as you're going to see once I actually get into the run, you can use the stasis crystals deposited by Vergless to remotely kill the scions that are sitting up on their post during this first session. You don't need it during the second 2 sessions because all the scions are up close. So I switched to Osteo for close range consistency on hitting the nodes. I had a high impact sniper, so I could pop the shoulders on the tormentors no problem. And then I had an eager edge sword, so I could make my way around the encounter quickly. Onto armor though, I was using an Assassin's Cowl Arc Hunter build, and in terms of armor mods, I had Arc Siphon on my helmet. This could probably be changed for Kinetic Siphon because I wasn't using the sniper rifle to actually kill any enemies. I had double hands on to get huge chunks of super energy when I got a charged melee kill. And then moving on from the hands on, I have Fastball to increase the grenade throw distance. And then I have double heavy-handed, so I'm making big chunky orbs every time I get a melee kill. And if it's a multi-kill, I'm making multiple big orbs. And I have double arc resistance because there's heavy arc damage all throughout this encounter. 1 solar resistance because there is a little bit of solar damage that you're going to be taking. Double release recover on 2 pieces of raid gear from Root of Nightmares. This allows you to regenerate health, get cure and regeneration every time you deposit Field of Light. And then I had double absolution to make sure that every time I picked up an orb, I was getting my abilities back and just regenerating what I needed to regenerate. And then on the class item, I had double bomber to make sure that every time I used my class ability, I was getting grenade energy, and distribution to allow me to distribute extra energy when I use my class ability near enemies. But with all of that said, that's the loadout I was using. The super I used was Gathering Storm, and I was using... Alright, so with all that being said, let's get into how to actually solo this encounter. The first thing you're going to notice is that as soon as I start running, the first thing I do after I grab the aura is I get a kill on a legionary to get down the first stasis crystal with Vergless Curve. After that, what I would normally do is break the crystal on my way to the 3rd node, but I wasn't able to this time, so I just grabbed a quick kill and broke the crystal after grabbing aura number 3 or 4. After that, I just killed the last scion before dunking the last aura and made my hot swap over to Osteo because I no longer needed the remote detonation for the Scions. After that, I threw a quick grenade to get amplified, got my Osteo kills for the ammo, sniped the shoulders on the Tormentor. This is going to be important later, and then I transferred over to the other side of the arena to begin my run for node number 2, or node set number 2. Once I started this, I made sure that once I heard the Tormentor go into an animation that I knew he was going to be stuck in for a little bit of time, I made sure to pop my super and hit him with it, because one gathering storm, especially while you're amplified, will be enough to destroy this Tormentor, even through both charged up shoulders. But once the Tormentor went down and I had my timer refresh, I just continued running the nodes as normal. But I made sure that along the way, I was also getting rid of the Scions, so I had another Tormentor ready to go for the next set of nodes that I need to pop. Besides that, there's not too much else to worry about doing during your run, besides making sure that you're charging enough super energy, to get your super back in between node sets. So while you don't have Sweeping Terror on your screen, you're going to want to make sure that you can get your super up and snipe both shoulders on the Tormentor, because that's just going to help you out in the long run. Make sure that you can actually have a solid amount of time to try and get through this node set, because it is extremely difficult for the later 2 sets of nodes. But as you can see, quickly pop the Tormentor's shoulders, and then you grab your first node, throw your super at the Tormentor once you know it's in an animation that will make it stand still for a hot second, and then go about running your nodes as you would normally. Just make sure that, number 1, you're getting a melee kill every here and there to refresh your invisibility and charge up a little bit of extra super energy. And number 2, make sure that you are going after those Scions, because there were times where I found personally myself had let the Scions slip my thought, and I just went about running my nodes, and then I was like, oh, I didn't spawn my Tormentor. Now I'm a little bit extra short on time for this node set. I gotta really be on top of my game. But with all of that being said, there isn't too much extra advice I can offer besides make sure that you're being, number 1, persistent enough to do this encounter. You're not hopping in here for an hour at a time and going, okay, I have an hour, let's try and solo this. You're going to need to devote large chunks of time if you are going to want to successfully solo this raid encounter. And if it is in 1-hour sessions, it is going to be a lot of 1-hour sessions. So don't expect it to be done very quickly. The next piece of advice I would like to offer is to not get frustrated over not being able to do this, because personally, again, myself, I found there were points where I knew I could do this, so I was getting frustrated with myself for not being able to complete it, and that is not a good mentality to have for something like this. So that's just another little tidbit. But if you have the persistence and you have the mentality down and you have the willingness to get the rotation down and understand how you need to do this, there really is not too much more advice I can offer personally, because everyone plays the game in their own different way. I can say try and emulate me all you want, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be a perfect imitation. And even this run wasn't the greatest run on the planet, because as you can see here, I forgot to reload my weapon. But that's all I have to say on this topic. I would like to thank everyone for clicking on this video and watching up to this point. If you have, if you enjoyed, please do leave a like and subscribe. It would let me know that this is the type of content that people enjoy watching. With all of that being said though, I don't have anything else to say for this video. So thank you everyone for watching. This has been Tom. I will see you guys in the next video.